The alleyway was cold, damp, and filled with the faint stench of garbage. The narrow brick walls trapped the cries of a little boy, echoing them back into the night. His name was Malik, only 8 years old, but already he knew the cruelty of the world far too well. "Please, don't push me," he begged, his voice trembling as 3 older boys surrounded him. Malik's eyes were wide with fear, his tiny frame pressed against the rough wall. He clutched a worn-out school bag to his chest as if it were a shield. His shoes were torn, his shirt stained from a day's worth of struggle. The leader of the bullies, a tall boy named Travis, sneered. "You think you're better than us just because you get good grades? Just because your teacher likes you? You're nothing, Malik, nothing." He shoved Malik hard against the wall. The little boy's knees buckled, and his bag fell to the ground. The other boys laughed, feeding off Travis's cruelty. Malik's tears streamed down his face. His voice cracked as he cried, "I didn't do anything to you. Please don't hurt me, please." The bullies cornered him, and Malik felt a sinking pit in his stomach. He thought of his mother, who worked 2 jobs just to keep food on the table. He thought of his little sister, who often went to bed hungry so he could eat. He thought of the dreams he kept close to his heart, the dream of becoming a doctor, of one day lifting his family out of poverty. But in that dark alley, all those dreams seemed to crumble. Then, a voice boomed from the end of the street. "What's going on here?" The bullies froze. Standing beneath the glow of a street lamp was a man in a perfectly tailored suit, his face stern and commanding. His presence was so powerful that even the street seemed to fall silent. It was Jonathan Blackwood, a millionaire real estate magnate known across the city. Few knew that Jonathan had once been a boy not so different from Malik, poor, struggling, and constantly underestimated. Jonathan's sharp eyes scanned the scene. He saw Malik trembling on the ground, his tears staining the dirt, and something inside him snapped. "Stop this at once," Jonathan roared, stepping forward with authority. The bullies, suddenly stripped of their confidence, stumbled back. Travis muttered something under his breath, but when Jonathan's gaze pierced him, he turned and bolted. The others quickly followed, their footsteps fading into the night. Malik, still clutching his school bag, looked up at the man who had just saved him. His lips quivered as he whispered, "Thank you." Jonathan knelt down, his expensive shoes soaking in the puddles of the alley. He placed a gentle hand on Malik's shoulder. "No child should ever have to beg for mercy like that," Jonathan said softly. "What's your name, son?" "Malik," the boy whispered. Jonathan's heart tightened. He saw not just a boy but a reflection of his own childhood. He remembered being bullied, hungry, desperate for someone to believe in him. And at that moment, Jonathan made a silent promise: Malik's life would never be the same again. Jonathan walked Malik out of the alley, his arm protectively around the boy's shoulder. "Where do you live?" Jonathan asked gently. Malik hesitated, embarrassed. "Just down the block, sir, with my mom and little sister. My dad, he's gone." Jonathan didn't press for details. He could see the weight Malik carried in his eyes. When they reached the small apartment complex, Jonathan noticed the broken windows, the peeling paint, and the children playing in the dirt outside. Life here was hard, he knew it well. Malik led him upstairs to a tiny one-room home. Inside, a tired woman sat sewing clothes under the dim light of a flickering bulb. "Mom," Malik whispered, "this man helped me." His mother, Aisha, looked up, startled by the sight of the tall stranger in an expensive suit. She quickly rose to her feet, brushing the fabric dust from her hands. "Thank you, sir." "Malik, what happened?" Jonathan introduced himself briefly and told her how he had found Malik. Tears filled Aisha's eyes as she hugged her son tightly. "I tell him every day to be strong," she said softly, "but the world is so unkind to little boys like him." Jonathan's jaw tightened. He saw the exhaustion in Aisha's face, the strength of a mother fighting battles no one else saw. And he saw Malik's fragile hope, flickering like a candle in the dark. "I want to help," Jonathan said suddenly. Aisha blinked. "Help, sir? You've already done more than enough." But Jonathan shook his head. "No, I've seen what cruelty can do to a child. I won't stand by while this boy suffers. Malik has something special, I can see it in his eyes. He just needs a chance." That night, Jonathan arranged for Malik to be enrolled in one of the city's best private schools. He set up a trust fund for his education, ensuring that money would never again be a barrier to his dreams. He also promised Aisha support, so she wouldn't have to break her back working 2 jobs. The days turned into weeks, and Malik's life began to change. At his new school, the other children stared at first. He was the poor boy given a millionaire's sponsorship. But Malik's kindness, intelligence, and determination quickly won them over. He excelled in his studies, impressing teachers and classmates alike. Jonathan often visited, sitting quietly at the back of the classroom as Malik answered questions with confidence. Each time, Jonathan felt a swell of pride. This boy was destined for greatness. But Malik never forgot that night in the alley. He carried the memory of his fear and his plea, "Please don't push me," like a scar on his heart. It fueled him, reminding him that there were other children out there still crying, still begging for mercy. Years later, Malik stood on a stage in front of hundreds of people. He was no longer the frightened little boy. He was tall, strong, and wearing a doctor's white coat. On his chest was a name tag, Drive. Malik A. Johnson. In the front row sat Jonathan, older now but with the same proud glint in his eyes. Malik began his speech. "When I was 8 years old, I was cornered in an alley. I begged for mercy, and I thought no one would hear me. But someone did. Someone shouted, not just to stop the bullies, but to the world, that my life mattered. That I mattered." His voice grew stronger. "Today, I dedicate my career as a doctor to every child who has ever felt powerless, voiceless, or invisible. Because no child should ever have to beg to be seen. And because one man's kindness gave me the strength to stand here today." The audience erupted in applause. Jonathan wiped a tear from his eye, his heart swelling with pride. He had built empires of wealth, towers of steel and glass, but none of it compared to the legacy standing before him. A boy once cornered in the shadows had risen into the light, and it all began the night a little boy cried, "Please don't push me," and a millionaire shouted back, "Enough."